Yo, what's up? What's up? This is your man, That's the Great, checking in once again. Let's get straight to it, man. Got a good question tonight, bro. Why do women insist on giving each other such terrible dog shit advice? You know what I mean? It just seems like we live in a society where women as a whole, they're so caught up and so enamored with being uh girls, as they like to call it. You know, that they're so worried about being liked by each other that they just give each other the absolute worst advice. Things that aren't true, and also things that just are completely impractical in the grand scheme of things as far as how the world really works. And what brought me to this topic is actually quite funny because I was just scrolling down on Facebook earlier today, and I just so happened to come across this on my timeline. So let's take a look and let's see what this girl said. I blacked out her name because we're friends on Facebook, but I just couldn't help but kind of scratch my head as I was reading this because it is absolute bullshit. And my only concern, or really my only question, is when women tell each other things like this, when they give this dog shit advice, this untrue, unwarranted, unsolicited advice that this woman is just spewing freely online. Like, do they actually believe the bullshit that they're selling? That's my question, right? So let's read. Let's read what she says here. She said, ladies, don't let social media make y'all think because you're aging or have kids, dating is over for you. She's missing punctuations in there, but whatever. I believe those things make them even more interested. Already the bullshit is at a crazy high level. Men do not care. To my ladies that are approaching 40 or over, run. I just told this man I'm turning 65 in August with grandkids, and he said, so may I have your number? Once again, let's read this. This is the kind of dog shit advice that I'm talking about. Ladies, don't let social media make y'all think because you're aging or you have kids that dating is over for you. I believe those things make them even more interested. What world is this woman living in, bro? Like, see, this is the kind of dog shit advice that women constantly give each other. Women just lie to each other because they're in this so-called girls culture where they just tell each other these empty, they just spew this empty rhetoric to each other. They feed lies to each other, and it makes no sense. What world do we live in? What world does she live in where she thinks that a man wants you more if you come to him with what most people would consider to be excessive baggage? We're talking about several kids, several baby daddies. What world does this woman live in where she thinks that this is true? I don't believe that she actually believes the bullshit she's selling here, though. You're telling me I believe that those things make them even more interested. Let me get this straight. Ladies, let's see. Don't make you all right. So you believe that it makes a man more interested in a woman when she has kids. Does that even sound like that makes any kind of logical sense in any universe, in any multiverse? Unbelievable. Hold on, B Frost. You said being a stepfather is the most thankless and worthless position ever. Yeah. Yeah. And the thing about being a stepdad as well, man, that a lot of men would probably agree with is that when you are a stepfather, it's like like I think like you hit the nail on the head. It's a thankless situation because you are being asked to take on a role that their actual biological father did not actually adhere to, nor did he step up for. Not only that, you're raising these kids, and yet you don't actually have the power to discipline them as necessary. So being a stepfather in most cases is absolutely thankless. You're absolutely right about that, B Frost. You hit the nail on the head. And you said avoid those single mothers. It depends because see that here's the thing. It depends when we talking about the single moms, right? Because see, you see this dog shit advice this woman was given on Facebook here. She said, all right, she thinks that it makes men more attracted and interested in a woman when she has kids, which is bullshit. But what women fail to understand, and you'll see this online, you'll see this on different podcasts. Women think that just because a man shows interest in you, that he takes you seriously. There's two completely ends of the spectrum. Trust me. A man can absolutely only look at you as nothing more than recreational fun, just somebody to do something with for recreational use, but he would never take you seriously. And what women don't understand is that men reject them silently. We don't reject them overtly where they know that we're not actually interested in them in a certain way. We don't reject women like that. That's just not how men operate. You feel me? But you know, that's just the society that we live in, man. So women like to feed themselves lives. They like to feed themselves lies, but it is what it is. So when I see certain posts like this on my Facebook wall, man, I'm just like, okay. It's just funny because women just never fail to lie to each other. Like, there's no universe where a man is more interested in you if you have baggage. That's just not how life works. You think, all right, because you're aging, so she's hitting on two biological triggers here that can deter men. She's hitting on the the fact that you're aging, and as we all know, women's biological clock is constantly ticking. Once they reach 30 plus, that clock is ticking. That shit is ticking loud as hell. And then in addition to that, we're talking about kids, adding kids onto it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with kids. Kids are a wonderful thing. It's just that if we're talking about a woman being attractive to a man or to a prospective suitor that she may be interested in, you cannot expect the man to be interested in you more if you're bringing baggage to the table. Ideally, what men are looking for is a woman who has as little baggage as possible. Men want a woman who has not experienced many things so that they can be the one who actually exposes her to new experiences. Men want to be the one to provide for a woman. So if you already come to a table with another man's saved game, which is what kids actually are, you know, what most men want is a woman who, I know this is idealistic, obviously, but what most men would prefer is a woman who is extremely inexperienced, a woman who has not done everything, a woman who has not been everywhere, because a man wants to be able to come in and feel like he's at least the hero to some extent in that dynamic. And that's just the fact. So when a woman is talking crazy like this, and she's talking about a man finds a woman who's aging and a woman who has kids as more attractive or more appealing, that's just absolute nonsense, as I'm sure anybody with a brain would agree. But let's see. Who the hell is this? Adam, what are you waffling? What am I waffling about? Can you read? Can you read? Can you read the topic? That's what I'm talking about, man. I see. B Frost, you said the kids can disrespect you, not listen and be bad, and you're expected to provide for them no matter what they do to you. Yeah, that's the experience of a stepfather. It is an extremely, honestly, if I'm just keeping it a stack, being a stepdaddy is an extremely lose-lose situation for the man. What does a guy get out of being a stepdad? Now, don't get me wrong. If you have a connection to the kids, I get it. I understand it. But what does a man get out of being a stepdaddy to kids that are not his? There's nothing. There's no incentive for a man sticking his neck out for another man's saved game. That's what kids are. It's another man's legacy, another man's saved game. And I'm talking like this because I would never in life skip out on my child. So I can't relate to these guys who skip out on their own children and then leave that responsibility for some other man to raise. I can't respect that, nor would that ever be me, because I just live by a certain level of integrity. But in that situation, like you said earlier, B Frost, being a stepfather is it's just a thankless situation. I kudos to all the guys who are doing that out there. I could never get down like that, man. I could never get down like that. You get attached to the kids, yet you don't actually have the rearing responsibilities or the ability, the authority to discipline them as you see fit. So what are you really getting out of it? Nothing. But I digress. Just getting back to the whole point of this video, what I've noticed a lot in life is the fact that women will lie to each other as long as they have no skin in the game. You know, when a bunch of girls are about to go out to the club, for instance, just in the same vein as this post here, when a girls are about to go out to the club, and you know, it's usually at least one or two completely unattractive ogres in the clique, and they're all dressed up, and and they're squeezing their fat sloppy asses into these super tight ass dresses, and then they'll still be lying to me and say, "Oh yes, bitch, that looks good. Yeah, you killing them. Yeah, that looks good, girl." Knowing good and well their friend looks terrible. But women do not like to tell each other the truth when it's a difficult situation to have. I've noticed that time and time again. And then when a man actually comes into contact with them in the real world, and a man just gives it to him like it is, he tells them, listen, you're a fat fuck. You need to get your ass in the gym. You need to reduce your calorie intake. You need to heavily increase your actual workload and in your exercise and in your strength and resistance strength so you can get in shape. They're telling this same woman that has been called up by her friends and lied to by her friends time and time again and given bad advice by her friends saying, oh, live your life, girl, do you. Body positivity. Your body's beautiful no matter how it looks. That's all bullshit. That's all a crock of shit. But such a society that we live in, unfortunately, you know, it is what it is, man. But yeah, I just wanted to briefly touch on that topic. I thought it was interesting coming across my timeline. Just wanted to bring a little bit of awareness to this, but I'm not gonna stay on long tonight. That's all. Those are my thoughts tonight, and I appreciate it, man. Y'all be easy, stay blessed, stay sharp, stay focused, man. That's great. Peace.